And we've got all the right in the world on our side. And there ain't no reason to be afraid. And there ain't no reason to not take the challenge dead on. Because I'm going to tell you who we come from, folks. We don't come from some weak, jellyback, spineless people. That's not who we come from. None of us. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what nation your folks hail from, how much money you got. We all share the same name. We are Americans. And at Bunker Hill, there was Americans. And at Fredericksburg and Gettysburg, there was Americans. And at Iwo Jima, raising that flag on Suribachi, it was Americans. And at Pork Chop Hill, there was Americans. Quezon, there was Americans. And on 9/11, there was Americans who ran towards those burning buildings. That is who you share your heritage with. You do not share your heritage with a weak and ineffective people who cower at the sight of trouble. You share your heritage with a strong and brave people who are determined to hold on to their freedom and for the freedom of future generations. Guys, it's time for us to stand up and be that generation. It's time for us to stand strong and proud and remember who we are. That we are Americans. And as long as we stand as the vanguard of freedom in this nation, freedom will survive people. Not only survive, but will thrive. So guys, it's time to put on our packs. It's time to fix those bayonets. It's time to get ready. We got a fight on our hands. And our fight is not for us. For all those generations that's going to come behind us. Let's save America, folks.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Hey, folks, how's it going? Well, my voice is not back. It is going to kind of go in and out for a while. You're going to have to get used to my late night love radio voice for a bit, but it happens when this happens to me. Aphonia hits me, but we'll just play like I have a smoker's voice. Anyway, folks, welcome to the program. Do me a favor. Will you please raise a finger and share this program far and wide? We're going to do just kind of some shop talk today. Not gossiping. I just want to know where you stand. We're going to talk about Tucker. Yeah. Did he tuck and run away from the conservative movement? Is he a turncoat? Is it just talk? Is he a traitor? That's what we're going to talk about. So share this program and let's get people involved because I'm interested in your opinion. Been watching this, been watching people blow up over it, not comment or reserve their comments. And I just want to know. I've always liked Tucker. Of course, I stopped watching anything Fox November of 2020. So I haven't watched in a long time, but I know he's a smart fellow. But it's interesting. It's interesting because the world's kind of turning. By the way, a bit of housekeeping before we get started. Number one, I want to say thank you for everybody that supports our work with the full forensic audit in Arizona. God bless you for keeping it going. Lord knows the system has fought very hard to keep that evidence from coming to light. Well, you're probably kind of tuned into this Arizona thing yesterday. Former Arizona AG Mark Brnovich passed away. Died. Not a lot of details. Some are saying heart attack. It's kind of a suspicious thing for a guy that promoted himself as being so healthy. But the one AG who was really not paying attention to everything in Arizona has mysteriously died. Let me give you a little bit of his tenure when he stopped being the Arizona AG. He was only less than maybe 6 or something years away from his full government pension, meaning he needed to stay in elections and then he'd be paid for, the rest of his life. He ran for senator. You guys made sure that didn't happen because, as an AG, he didn't lift a finger to do anything about the audit. In fact, he avoided it. So you made sure that he didn't come back into power. Deep staters tried very hard to get him to then be, under President Trump's administration, the ambassador to Serbia. Big push trying to keep him into politics. That did not work as well. A lot of things are in turmoil in Arizona. The deep state is still very alive in Arizona. Big con, long con running in Arizona. But anyway, he has passed away. I hate to hear that for his family, etc. Let me remind you, one of the things we showed you way back when we're trying to get meetings with the investigators and everything, and we're in the midst of this audit, getting it done. Here is some of the content he would put out relevant to Arizona.
It's Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich. We've gotten a lot of calls, a lot of emails, but there's one thing people definitely want to see. They want to see more Chucks. So people, you want more Chucks? You got more Chucks.
Anyway, I hate that for anybody's family, period. When it comes to somebody's death, everybody should be respectful. Brnovich was very much, should we say, at the top of the pyramid there in Arizona. And with more things coming out since the fight has stayed alive. See, the system didn't bank on the evidence staying alive. The system didn't bank on the people now knowing the truth. The system didn't bank on, well, just because you say you're a Republican doesn't mean you're a Republican. And people are seeing through this. Arizona's one horribly whacked state because you actually think you're in incredibly good conservative hands now. But when you go back and look, all of those people were groomed to be in positions. They leave nothing unturned. But anyway, that's just a bit of housekeeping. Former Attorney General Arizona Mark Brnovich has died suddenly at the age of 59. And boy, that keeps him getting younger and younger and younger every time we hear it. Today's program, by the way, is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Man, if you're watching what gold and silver is doing, going through the roof, these are some interesting times. Here is all I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you just to go to jovanlovesgold.com, request your free gold and silver kit. That's it. And feed your brain. I'm not saying, hey, you need to become an investor in gold and silver. That is not what I'm saying. So quit putting it off. I'm saying feed your brain, especially if you have a retirement account, a savings account, retirement savings account, an IRA, a 401k, etc. There are ways you're going to have to protect it. Gold and silver is one of those ways to do it. You just have to understand what's going on. And I think gold is like what? I mean, silver is $90. When we started talking about this, it was 17. Just request the information. That's it. Just request the information. Feed your brain. Gold, we started talking about this less than 1,500. It's 4,600 plus. But I want to remind you, this is not about investing in precious metals. Don't get that wrong. Somebody sits there and said, I can't even buy one coin. That's not what I talked to you about. I taught you just to understand why you need to be familiar with this. And especially if you have a 401k, an IRA, or a retirement savings account, just get the information. Then when you see the information of why you need to be aware of these things, you might, right? You might. Somebody says my camera's getting worse. I'm fuzzier than normal. Have you ever just thought about the fact I'm aging right before your eyes? I know you hate to think that about me, but I'm aging. Here, let's see. Okay, so ready? I aimed a little too high the other day. Maybe my screen got sticky. I don't know. There. Do I look better? Do I look prettier? Come on, spooge drops are gone. Take a look. Tell me, do I look better? Here, let me. Okay, not really. Thank you for being serious. Thank you very much. I didn't think that would happen. I run both a young filter and a thin filter. Both. A young filter and a thin filter. Here, watch. Look at my lips. Somebody says I'm a little fuzzy, but I shave more frequently than you think. Here, look at my lips. You ready? Tell me if you notice the difference. Here we go. Did anything happen to my lips? Do you know how hard it is to get a true fiber signal down here to the Bat Cave through a freaking mountain, in the middle of the mountains, down a river, into a hole? Hit it. Yeah, I have a filter. Here you go. Look at my lips. I'm going to turn a filter off. Are you ready? Can you see the difference in my lips? Okay, now watch my lips again. Tell me if anything changes. Since you're saying I look fuzzy, did anything change? Because see, I look at myself and I expect my young and thin filter to work. And I look at myself and I go, damn it, my young and thin filter is not working. Somebody saying it's almost black now. Okay, so guys, what's fuzzy? I'm sitting at my desk. My under desk camera's not working. What is fuzzy? Oh, wait, maybe I need to. That's it. I fucked up and I didn't disclose which secret location I was in. If you know the super secret code, since I'm Batman, do you know which mountain compound I am in based on the glass signal? Do we have a spammer? Oh my goodness. Thank you so very much for letting us know there was mRNA in our food. Not a fucking one of us knew that. Oh my God. Thank you. Okay, so now we've settled. I'm not fuzzy. Not cloaky. I mean, am I too sophisticated? Maybe I'll be a little bit more Jewish for this one. Would that work? My glasses are dirty. You like me more as a traditional Jew? I tend not to wear these the older I get. Let me tell you why. If I let my true hairs go curly like they are, and I wear my round spectacles, what I see when I look at myself is an old Jewish scholar. Am I being too hard on myself? When I look at this, I see my great-great-grandfather Israel, old Jewish scholar, a scholar. This is just my disguise. Oy vey. Somebody says they're like their Jews crunchy. Cool. Somebody says Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah, I get told quite a bit as I'm older. I do get told as I'm older. I can't tell if it's a compliment or not that I look like Richard Dreyfuss. Is that actually a compliment? Let me know. I don't know. All I know is we're going to need a bigger boat. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the tuck. You're right. We're going to need a bigger filter. We're going to talk about the tuck. And I only want to know your opinion, because opinions are flying all over the place about the tuck. And I want to know what you say, because people are coming out of the woodwork saying Tucker and Meghan have gone off the reservation. Do you think Tucker and Meghan have gone off the reservation and something is amok in conservative world? Share this program. Little entertainment first. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Share it. Get started.
Follow the Money Griff Road. Follow the Money Griff Road. Follow the Money Griff Road.
Okay, followers, today I'm headed to meet the great and powerful wizard of grift.
Griff!
He supposedly knows the secret to going viral without switching my opinion every 5 minutes, which would be nice.
Quick question, Candace. Did you switch your stance on Trump again? Because factually, mathematically, and biologically, you've pivoted 4 times since breakfast.
I evolved, Ben. It's called branding. Duh.
Well, my heart may be missing, Candace, but even I can feel whiplash. Statistically, of course.
Have any of you wondered why we're on a money grift road? I mean, who laid these grifting bricks? Why this direction and why today? I need a zin!
Tucker, we're going to get you a brain. Don't give me a documentary pitch until you can actually think, okay?
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but it definitely is! Sorry about that. I'm trying to control that, but Candace, I mean, I can't keep up with you. I mean, one day you're pro-MAGA, the next day you're anti-MAGA, then you're pro-MAGA again. I mean,
Well, maybe if you stopped yelling about lizard people, you'd read my updates.
I have not confirmed the lizard people today!
Griff! Follow the Money Griff Road. Follow the Money Griff Road. Follow the Money Griff Road.
Well, if it isn't the Griff Squad. Candace, Ben, Tucker, Alex. Y'all switched sides so many times, I had to fact check Michelle's gender just to keep up with you guys.
Wizard of Grift, tell us, how do we achieve stability, clarity, and consistency?
This is the internet. Nobody came here for consistency. They came here for content. Always remember, pivot for profit.
So you're saying we never needed truth?
Truth? No. You just need a good thumbnail.
Griff!
Well, that does explain everything. Oh, sorry. That was purely a reflex.
Follow the Money Griff Road. Follow the Money Griff Road. Follow the Money Griff Road.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaf and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you. Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians? The elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd. Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, guys, welcome to the crap, which includes my voice at the moment. Welcome to Late Night Love Radio, where tonight, as you lay in your bed, get the visualization in your head. No, don't tuck it away. Pull out that tucker, tug on it, and decide for yourself, is that tucker a turncoat? Is it just late night love talk? Or is it a traitor worth tucking? Yes, my voice is still compromised, but my ethics are not. The industry, and when I say the industry, I'm talking about, we'll just call ourselves alternative media. Everybody's talking about how everybody, oh, Jovan, please call me late at night. Let me whisper sweet nothings in your ear. So everybody's talking about how Tucker, Candace, Megan, and everybody else seems to be off the rails. I want to give you a very simple observation. And when you learn the formula, it's very easy for you to gauge what's going on. When you choose somebody to give your vote to, and that's your time and your money and your effort and share, yes, you're voting for them, you tend to gravitate to people specifically for their expertise. This is my opinion. And you decide who you like, usually hopefully based upon, they tell you the truth or they give you the facts, and they make your life better. That would be my criteria, right? If I'm going to watch TV, I don't really watch mindless TV. I want to learn something. That's just me. But why? Because I'm investing time, and my time's valuable. If you were to look at the world of influencers, or whatever the case may be, you will tend to find a lot of them move all over the place. Somebody you started watching based on what do we need to know about elections and get them fixed. And then this day they're J6ers, and then this day they're lizard people, and then this day they're red tennis shoes and secret signs of Satanism with 7 rays of light. And they're just kind of all over the place. I want to let you know that is indicative of someone who is attempting to be relevant, searching for their formula, right? Searching for their formula. And most people can't even recognize it when they see it. Give you an example. It is like when you're in a junior high or elementary school, whatever the case may be. Everybody did this. When you started signing your signature, do you remember that? You started signing your signature the way you wanted to sign it. And then you finally decided on the signature that was you. Yeah, see, most people don't realize your signature is not you. Your signature is a big subliminal message of who you want people to believe you are by reflection of how cool does my signature look. That's your signature. So when you understand that phenomenon, I'll give you an example in this industry, quote unquote, the industry being conservative broadcasters, etc. You've watched people over time search for a brand. Instead of just being a leader themselves, and they are what they are, they search for a brand. They go on and people like them. And then all of a sudden somebody says, oh, you drive an old car. Why don't you drive a new car? And all of a sudden, well, that becomes their little stick of, well, I drive an old car because I'm frugal. Or they'll wear a maroon jacket, right? They'll wear a maroon jacket. I'm going to see if I can show you. I want to show you a picture of this, and I think you'll understand. Hang on one second. Because this is very relevant to the discussion we're going to have about Tucker, okay? Hold on. Because if I can use visuals, here we go. If I can use visuals, right? I want to help you understand what you're looking at in the world of packaging, etc. Because it's very key. One more. I got to find one more picture. Hang on. I got another example in here somewhere. Hold on. Oh, where is it? It's not that one. Is it this one? Yeah, here it is. Okay. This will work. So you'll understand. And I think sometimes people don't understand the nature of this when it comes to media. If you're basically considering you're a media person, how everything in that world, if that's the world you cater to, that's what you're putting forth. Like I just showed you Brnovich, right, who just passed away. But Brnovich, Arizona AZ, to portray toughness, put out videos him doing karate moves and playing with nunchucks, which you watch his eyes blink. He was afraid every time they passed by his head, which shows he didn't use them every day. But he was trying to portray an image. You follow what I'm saying? Trying to portray an image. Now, in the world of media and or advisors, you either are what you are, and you have knowledge and you have expertise and you give it, or you attempt to thrust upon your audience an image, right? You tend to thrust upon your audience an image, and many times it's very subliminal. And I'm going to give you an example. Okay. I'm going to use, everybody kind of knows Professor Clements in his purple jacket. If you were to watch Clements, and I use this quote unquote influencer, you've watched his hair get longer, curlier, and wider, which he capitalized on trying to portray himself as Moses. And during that time, he basically portrayed himself as what's called a traveling man, carrying a leather briefcase and a typewriter, and being on the road in the desert. I'm out in the desert, I'm all alone, but I'm making this journey. That's an image. Okay? That's an image. Let my PCAPs go. Now, the image brought to you where when you see him, he decidedly wears that same maroon jacket and look. Now, why does that happen? That's called image reinforcement. So you keep on connecting. Oh, that's that guy. Oh, that's that guy. Oh, that's that guy. Although there's a little bit of disconnect when you basically think about who carries an IBM Selectric electric typewriter with no electricity in the desert. But I digress. That's just me being critical. The newest branding that's going on, as you see here, is, what do you see? CNN, USA Today, Las Cruces News, Newsweek, and you see all these articles basically talking about him or snippets of him. What is that? That is basically trying to portray the image, I'm so important, look at all the media that talks about me. Okay, this is only a lesson in optics at the moment. In optics, to help you navigate life. And it's just like when we go back to Brnovich, which I showed you, and I'm going to show you one more time. Attorney Mark Brnovich, who just passed in Arizona, ignored everything about the Arizona audit, but was catching a ton of flack from the public. And so what he did for his image, because he's a politician, here is what he started putting out to the public.
It's Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich. We've gotten a lot of calls, a lot of emails, but there's one thing people definitely want to see. They want to see more Chucks. So people, you want more Chucks? You got more Chucks.
Okay. Now, even though that's probably some of the stupidest things you've ever seen, and if anybody knows the difference, you see his eyes blinking, he's afraid of them. But that is all about the creation of an image. The image is what people want the public to believe about you versus what you actually are. And in Brnovich's case, he wanted people, he's dead now, he died the other day. He wanted people to believe he's this badass kung fu warrior. And he kept on putting out these videos and kept on putting in these videos. Well, this industry is kind of really no different. Very few people actually will take the time to show you who they really are. Right now in society, I think one of the only people who will actually show you who they are is, in fact, President Trump, which is why people like President Trump. He is who he is, which is what I've told you about him. What you see on TV is what you get in person. That's it, in person. Now, we got this controversy raging right now regarding, we'll call them top level, shall we? Tucker or Meghan, right, or Candace, or whatever the case may be. Now, what are we watching going on? And I want to focus first on, and only for the rest of the program, on Tucker. What is, and yes, this is theater, okay? I'm going to put it on the screen. If you're joining me on Twitch or Facebook or X, I'll put it up on the screen. Tell me, as it sets right now, before we play anything and we go through it, what is your impression of Tucker, and has that changed? So you'll put something like, I like Tucker, but damn, he's different. Or I used to like Tucker, now he's gone off the rails. Put on for me in chat, what do you think currently about Tucker? Right? What do you think about Tucker? Has something changed with him that has made you rethink Tucker? Some are saying he's changed. Some are saying he's now total anti-Semitic, right? He's off the rails. Some are saying, now, Jan, I don't understand, dear. Are you saying you're skeptical of him, or he is skeptical? And I know many of you haven't listened lately. And to be honest, I have no dog in this race because I watch no one. So I can't comment on what Candace does or what Tucker does or what Alex does or Ben Shapiro. I can't comment on any of them. And let me give you an example. I also don't give a rat's ass. I don't care. Let me tell you why I don't care. For me, I don't look to other people to tell me what or how I should think. So when I have a choice of listening to somebody and let them talk about lizard people or me doing my own research, I'd rather do my own research. Which is why all I can do in this is let's talk about it. I want to know what you think. Only thing I can say about Tucker is I do think he's an incredibly smart fellow. But my topic today is not, is he smart? My topic today is what's transformed for you? Because I see so many people talking about it, it means you want to talk about it. Right? You want to talk about it. Now, let me tell you why I won't give you a take on Tucker. And I want to let you know, this is how I operate. I can easily embrace from my past experience with Tucker and his work. Tucker is a very smart fellow, but that's all I can say. I can't offer you an opinion past that. And by the way, my opinion shouldn't matter. Let me tell you why. See, first off, ethically and morally, I won't offer you an opinion. Because I don't consume his work. Right? I don't consume his work. And so if I gave an opinion of Tucker, I would just be pulling it out of my hoo-hoo hole. And it would actually mean nothing. And I don't want others in my world giving an opinion of me, and Lord knows too many do it. They give an opinion about me and they don't even know me. And because I detest that, I refuse to give one. And I'm telling you, if I can't show you firsthand the impact, the history, the facts, right? Then you should not trust my opinion. But because I'll show you the facts, the history, etc., then I want to give you enough information you can trust to form your own opinion. Because I am not here to give you any opinion. And I'll show you how transparent I am. Let's look at Megan. Here's my opinion. I bet she looks stunning naked. Now, that's the only opinion I could give you of Megan. And that is me giving you the truth. She is actually one great-looking woman. Kudos to being a mom and having a husband, right? If she was single, boy, game on. There you go. That's the only opinion I could actually give you if I was to tell you the truth. Now, in the influencer world, we don't get that. Because somebody has led the influencer world to believe your job is to give an opinion. My question is, does your audience know that all you're doing is giving your own opinion? And for me, that's why I tell you, I don't watch other people's stuff. When it comes out of me, it's my own research. I do it. I look at it. Here it is. Here you go. Which is why you don't see the bullshit interview circuit with me. Or you see people on with me like Victor Davis Hanson who are true experts. That I'll do. The other stuff I won't bother with. That's just amplification. Now, let's pull this back. Because see, all I'm trying to do is get to the bottom of this. What do you think's going on? What do you think is going on right now? Because see, one of the things I can recognize is I can recognize something's going on. Now, not watching anybody's stuff, and I watch people search for topics like people that used to talk about CIA operations or elections. Now they're talking about lizard people. See, when somebody does that, what they're doing is they're searching for an audience. What they're trying to do is they're trying to search and stumble and find a topic that you would be interested in that will get enough people to look. Because the bottom line of their show is they've got to drive more engagement. That's the racket. Have to drive more engagement. The flip side of it is you're okay with who you are, you know who you are, and you present facts, history, or whatever to your audience that will help you teach them something, right? Got right? Teach them something. And therefore, what you're doing is you are putting forth content that is, in your book, something that your audience will like, will benefit from, and then it just is what it is, right? Then it just is what it is. Now, that's a different genre. There's not a lot of people out there that do that. There's not a lot of people out there that will just, here's my topic, here's what I think you should know about it, and here's what quite possibly you could learn from it. Now, with that kind of mental adjustment, I want to give you a filter that we're going to look at Tucker through today. Is Tucker searching for an audience? He's got 16 million followers on Twitter. Has money found Tucker again? You know, I think he was getting, was it $20 or $40 million a year in his former broadcast journalist life. So what are we seeing in Tucker? Are we seeing Tucker, who came out with a roar independently, covering really hard topics? Or are we seeing them search for an audience? Ready? Or, by the way, he is not a Swanson. His father married a Swanson. But, or are we seeing the money has finally caught up? This is what I want you to try to take a look at. Are we looking at Tucker's really not who we think he was? He's really not a smart guy. He's really not a conservative. Or it was just fake to begin with and he's a turncoat? Or is he just talking to get views? Or is he actually a traitor and has been bought off? That's what I want to know what you think. What do you think you're seeing? And with that, let's start with a little bit of Tucker's background.
And again, as I say, the shtick is sort of built on this perception that he is the character he plays. He is every man, this kind of, he's not right-wing, he's a populist, fighting for you against the powers that be.
This is the truck that I drove this morning. This is the truck I drive. It's a 1987 Chevrolet Silverado. There are no electronics in this. There's no air conditioning, there's no radio, and there's no way for the government to turn off my engine if I'm disobedient.
And that's great as a shtick, but I'm just saying the moment that it's revealed not to be true, it's over.
It's like you're worth $50 million.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the fucking internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff.
No. But see, I'm an out of the closet elitist. I don't run around pretending to be a man of the people. I'm absolutely not a man of the people at all.
I had the privilege of not being interested in money because I didn't grow up in a family where we were worried about money, so I just never really thought about money.
Tucker's great-great-great-grandfather was known as the Cattle King of California, the largest landowner in the United States in the 19th century. Just to give you an idea of the enormous wealth.
Well, it's kind of like a Kramer versus Kramer situation, right? They got a divorce and she took off.
Tucker and his brother did end up with part of the oil and gas minerals that she owned in her estate. So even that went well for Tucker.
Well, I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I, inherited from my number of trust funds.
From the Swanson deal.
She wasn't your mother.
That's how I felt. I had a mother.
That's
my
right.
dad got remarried to someone I think of as my mother.
1979, the father, he's going to marry Patricia Caroline Swanson. She is the heir to the Swanson billion-dollar fortune, the frozen food family.
Serve Swanson dinner soon.
I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I, inherited.
You're a trust fund baby, are you not?
No, completely. I've never needed to work.
I think there's kind of a deep phoniness at the center of his shtick.
I worked in a kitchen in 1985. Everybody in the kitchen had a criminal record. Every single one. But of course, every dishwasher has been to prison for something, right?
I do really prefer the feudal model, which is it's the model of all time.
One thing you learn when you grow up in a castle and look out across the moat every day at the hungry peasants out in the village is you don't want to stoke envy among the proletariat.
This Swanson heir essentially posing a question to this audience that they never really have to ponder.
What sane person would choose to live, and let's do top end, $30 million, 16th floor apartment in a crowded city over a log cabin in a pine forest with the wood stove glowing as the snow falls?
$50 million?
Right? Because the whole thing is predicated on the fact that he is who he says he is. And just nobody is that person, especially not someone who makes $1 million, or many millions a year.
Actually, he's been able to get, a $20 million a year contract.
So I have a book out coming Monday.
And I'm not rich, but I paid my house off.
He sold his Washington, D.C. home for $3.95 million in July of 2020 to purchase, a $2.9 million property in Boca Grande, a small community in Southwest Florida.
We have 4 kids, and they all left. They all went to boarding school when they were young, so we've lived alone for a while.
No, trust me, you will send your kids to boarding school.
Oh, no, I will not. I promise you that. I love my kids, and I want to hang on to them and love them and give them a kiss at night and not have to talk to them via AT&T. Jesus, you rich people.
You got real defensive there. I just read a number that's a lot of money.
I don't know what happened to all the money. I don't really care. It's kind of fun.
It's amazing.
Okay. Put in chat. Did you know any of those little historic tidbits? Right? Did you know any of the historic tidbits? And by the way, his 3.9 million house in DC, Wolf, you're right. If you were to look at his 3.9 million house, you think big. It's a freaking closet. That's a little bitty tiny house. You forget that it's in DC in a certain walking neighborhood. $3.9 million has nothing to do with it. Just means you're stupid to buy something that small for that. But let me ask you a question. Were there things in there that you didn't know regarding Tucker and his background? Okay, here comes the next question. Do you watch Tucker Carlson because he's a trust fund baby? Is that why you watched at any time Tucker Carlson? Because he came from wealth and his father married well, and they set aside trust for him. Is that why you watch, for any reason, past, present, or future, Tucker? See, I don't think so. Most people like Tucker because of his talking points, and he's a fairly methodical, logical, linear thinker, which I appreciate. Now, the reason I say that, right, is has Tucker, if you've watched him, ever told you he's a conservative or a Republican? It's not a trick question. Has Tucker in his work ever told you he is a Republican or conservative? You're gonna find it's very, very hard to find that nailed down with Tucker. Now, why is that? You find it hard to nail down and reconcile because, and again, I'm only giving you ways to analyze this. And all my hopes for anyone, friend or foe, is that people honestly analyze you for who you are. And it all just be based on facts. That's it. That it all must just be based on facts. That's what has to happen in the world. We have to stop judging people on packaging. We have to stop judging people on who gets promoted the most, right? Who gets seen on TV the most. Where we need to get, in my personal belief in society, is we've got to know what people really are and judge them on what they really are. Okay? I think if you were intellectually honest, you would find you were drawn to Tucker because he would ask deeper questions and he would obviously think about it. Now, do you know that Tucker has never said he's a conservative? Now, see, that begs to differ. Where's the disconnect? So when I sit back and look, because really I'm only looking at information input in all of this, I just want to understand what I'm seeing. And just because people don't, see things the same way you see things, doesn't mean they're bad. Now, let me tell you why. That is exactly what the left does to us. Do you get it? That's exactly what the left does to us. They can just see you in a red hat, think you're a MAGA and you're shit. Oh, you've got an American flag out front. You're a nationalist. You're a colonialist. You drive a truck. You're an idiot. I want you to think about this for a minute. Let me tell you why. as humans, we have to open ourselves up to be able to look at things objectively, or we're always being played. We're always being played. If we as conservatives, and I will admit to you, I am a conservative. No, I am not a Republican. I used to be before 2020. I now think Republican is as bad of a label as pedophile. I mean, it just means, it actually doesn't even mean anything anymore. It's disgusting. But when I realize that the very things we ran away from, media, labels, groupings, that a lot of it's come full circle and we're doing the same shit. And the reason I point this out is because I think we're all in the middle of a trap once again. Because we think when somebody wears a label that you can identify him. Oh, he's a conservative. He's one of us. No. Which is why I'm just doing a very sobering look and saying, let's talk about Tucker. What are we really seeing? Are we seeing somebody's a turncoat? Well, the reality is Tucker has never told you he's a conservative. He'll tell you he's against abortion. That is a conservative value. He was on, quote unquote, a Fox News network, which was considered conservative. Here's what's really ironic. The left said Fox News is exclusively the Republican talking point network, which isn't true and wasn't true. But isn't it funny? People will look at Tucker, assume he's a conservative, assume he's a Republican because he was Fox, and we're actually doing the very thing that the leftists said Fox was. You see how really interesting this kind of turns around? Because Tucker's never told you this. And I'm not going to bat for Tucker. I'm going to bat for what are we seeing? What is going on in our society? Can we look at this authentically? Because I'm telling you right now, the media, all media, right or left, is bullshit. There are so few people that give a rat's ass about being truthful and transparent, even if it doesn't financially benefit them. That's lacking in all industry. So many people want to buy into talking points and trends. And I want to let you know, that's a money issue. And that's why it's just talk. All they're doing is following the money. Now, if you don't think money comes into play, let me give you an example. You know that President Trump totally wants to outlaw, ban mail-in ballots. Am I right? What did the GOP pay millions of dollars to people, influencers, like Scott Pressler, to go out and say, bank your ballot, bank your ballot. You got to bank your ballot, which is mail-in ballots and early voting. But you associate it with a person you like, but you forget they're getting paid to say it. You support President Trump, the president of the United States, saying we got to get rid of these fucking mail-in ballots, and you support, well, Scott Pressler, he's doing work. He's a hero. But he's saying something totally different he got paid to say. You see what the crossfire we're caught in? It's very alluring. But when you look at it from your standpoint, you can literally sit there and know mail-in ballots have to go away. Know that's the truth. but still give your loyalty to somebody else who gets paid millions to keep people away from it. And you will just say, well, I like them. When that person is 100% at odds of you, your values, and what's right for this country, you will still follow, but I like them. So you see how interesting this media lure is? And this is why the money comes in. This is it in a nutshell, folks. This is why there's so much money in it. Because, and I use that Scott Pressler example or GOP example. The GOP tells people to do opposite of what President Trump is trying to get done. But you still think you're a Republican. See, this is the crossroads I think we're at. And what I want to do is I want to see, are we all judging this for exactly what it is? I'm going to replay this one little bit for you because I'm telling you, Tucker has always told you who he is.
And again, as I say, the shtick is sort of built on this perception that he is the character he plays. He is every man, this kind of, he's not right-wing, he's a populist, fighting for you against the powers that be.
This is the truck that I drove this morning. This is the truck I drive. It's a 1987 Chevrolet Silverado. There are no electronics in this. There's no air conditioning, there's no radio, and there's no way for the government to turn off my engine if I'm disobedient.
And that's great as a shtick, but I'm just saying the moment that it's revealed not to be true, it's over.
It's like you're worth $50.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the fucking internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff.
No. But see, I'm an out of the closet elitist. I don't run around pretending to be a man of the people. I'm absolutely not a man of the people at all.
I had the privilege of not being interested in money because I didn't grow up in a family where we were worried about money, so I just never really thought about money.
Tucker's great-great-great-grandfather was known as the Cattle King of California, the largest landowner in the United States in the 19th century. Just to give you an idea of the enormous wealth.
Well, it's kind of like a Kramer versus Kramer situation, right? They got a divorce and she took off.
Tucker and his brother did end up with part of the oil and gas minerals that she owned in her estate. So even that went well for Tucker.
Well, I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I, inherited from my number of trust funds.
From the Swanson deal.
She wasn't your mother.
That's how I felt. I had a mother. I mean,
that's
my
right.
dad got remarried to someone I think of as my mother.
1979, the father, he's going to marry Patricia Caroline Swanson. She is the heir to the Swanson billion-dollar fortune, the frozen food family.
Serve Swanson dinner soon.
I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I, inherited.
You're a trust fund baby, are you not?
No, completely. I've never needed to work.
I think there's kind of a deep phoniness at the center of his shtick.
I worked in a kitchen in 1985. Everybody in the kitchen had a criminal record. Every single one. But of course, every dishwasher has been to prison for something, right?
I mean, I do really prefer the feudal model, which is it's the model of all time.
One thing you learn when you grow up in a castle and look out across the moat every day at the hungry peasants out in the village is you don't want to stoke envy among the proletariat.
This Swanson heir essentially posing a question to this audience that they never really have to ponder.
What sane person would choose to live, and let's do top end, $30 million, 16th floor apartment in a crowded city over a log cabin in a pine forest with the wood stove glowing as the snow falls?
$50 million, right? Because the whole thing is predicated on the fact that he is who he says he is. And just nobody is that person, especially not someone who makes $1 million, or many millions a year.
He's been able to get, a $20 million a year contract.
So I have a book out coming Monday.
And I'm not rich, but I paid my house off.
He sold his Washington, D.C. home for $3.95 million in July of 2020 to purchase, a $2.9 million property in Boca Grande, a small community in Southwest Florida.
We have 4 kids, and they all left. They all went to boarding school when they were young, so we've lived alone for a while.
No, trust me, you will send your kids to boarding school.
Oh, no, I will not. I promise you that. I love my kids, and I want to hang on to them and love them and give them a kiss at night and not have to talk to them via AT&T. Jesus.
Okay. Now, the reason I post this to you, first, as we do this analyzation, what's going on with Tucker, is Tucker's always told you who he was. Those videos prove it. Tucker has always been transparent as to who he was. Now, the next part of the, hold on, let me get rid of somebody trying to promote messages in my Rumble, which is a no-no. Anyway, you heard Tucker say, I'm not rich. Now, what you're going is, what the hell you mean you're not rich? Your kids went to boarding school, right? Or whatever. Again, I've always told you words matter. Words matter. Here's a question for you. Do you think your definition of rich and Tucker's definition of rich are the same? Put it in chat, yes or no. There you go. It's a relative term. So when Tucker says, I'm not rich, people use this, they'll twist it and go, what the hell are you talking about? Are you a trust fund, baby? Anybody has a trust fund, got to be rich, right? See, that's where I try to help you understand words matter. And if you're going to invest your time into someone, you should understand, because I can tell you, some people would think they were rich if they had $150,000 in the bank and their house was paid off, or if they had $150 million in the bank, or if they have $1.5 billion in the bank. It's all relative. But here's the difference. When you hear people say that, here's what you need to understand. And this is the most important lesson. It's not about you. Because you don't have the same manual and you don't have the same dictionary. Now, this is where I think the system pits everybody against each other. And that's why I'm even trying to do this. How much are we seeing is an operation? How much are we seeing because it's being a turncoat? Or how much we're seeing because it's just business? That's all I want to discern. And again, I tell you is, I can't do this for you. I can't give you an opinion on Tucker because I don't watch. But I can tell you, if somebody gets a $20 million a year contract, their definition of rich is probably not the same as yours. And when it comes to kids, there are pros and cons of why you send your kids to boarding schools. I can actually see both sides of it. I can see what's good about it. I can see what's horrible about it. But it's all variable. And so again, I'm trying to put this aside to help you analyze, okay, what are we seeing? Well, the reality is Tucker comes across as a simple guy and has always told you, I'm not a Republican. Now, why do I even go to this? Because some people will say, he's a freaking liberal now. He's a freaking liberal. He's a turncoat. He's a traitor. Now, I want you to think about that. People in this scenario, and this is why I'm only trying to declutter this, because it's really about clarity. That's it, clarity. What are we seeing? I think all of this is created on purpose to get people in chaos, and the system fucking loves chaos. And if we want to do something, right? If we want to do something good, we got to try to extract ourselves from the chaos, right? That's it. And so the first part is just, can you learn these discernment tools? Well, I do think if you were to put Tucker in the label of a Republican, and then you just lay over, well, he's just a conservative like me, it's actually you that's doing yourself the disservice. And it would be dangerous to go, oh, Tucker's a libtard now, and you become angry, because I want you to understand something. You did it to yourself. Because, see, the information's always been there. And that's the point I think people need to understand. We haven't learned deductive reasoning. We haven't learned how to listen, how to understand where are people coming from and what do they really stand for. And because we've lost those skills, the system makes you feel uneasy, and then you feel tricked and betrayed. And when you feel tricked and betrayed, what happens? You get more pissed off. It's the shaking of the jars like the ants. What's really going on is this massive shaking of the jars. But see, we always need things and people to point at. And by the way, if you go looking for shit, you'll find shit. You go looking for gold, you'll find gold. You go looking for wisdom, you'll find wisdom. Even in total stupidity, you'll find wisdom, because stupidity teaches you wisdom. You follow what I'm saying? In other words, you get what you expect, because you will always find it, because you've tuned your brain frequency into it. What you really have to ask yourself, and let me give you an example, does Tucker matter? Now, the first part I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you why Tucker matters. This is the entire scope of the game. So the first piece I'm going to give you is why Tucker matters. Get ready. It's not what you think it is.
We've spoken about Tucker Carlson a lot in previous episodes. And
it's making some noise.
Yeah, you know what? I think he's an important person. We've got to follow him. Umar ibn Khattab. Now today, we know media is a powerful place, man. Right? If you win the media war, media.
Yeah.
Right? As in, if we took a victory from this, if there's anything for us to say we did this time with Allah's permission, Tawfiq, it's media.
Yeah.
I'm saying this guy is, in my opinion, the strongest guy in the media right now.
I mean, yeah, his millions of views. Anytime he posts anything, I always monitor. Like, it's just the views are
It's
crazy.
not just that. This guy has got very strong footing and following, and he's
the
got
conservative
voice
in the right wing
in the USA,
yeah,
in the UK, and the Middle East.
Now, I play this clip for you is because this is the eyes you really should be looking through. When you focus only on the person versus who the person is, what their reach is, and what their impact is. And so this is where we have to take a little bit of different view of Tucker. Because Tucker's never told you he was Republican. He's never stood on that. He does have some conservative views. People don't understand their history when Tucker says what we really should have going on is the feudal system. That means lords, rulers, overlords, they own the land. You rent the land. Look up the feudal system. But again, people lay over, well, Tucker's one of us. No, Tucker's just a smart fellow. Now, that smartness comes a double-edged sword, because he can also be a dangerous fellow. This is what you have to consider when you look at all of this. And even when you say, well, Tucker doesn't matter, I want to let you know, Tucker does matter. Even though I don't watch Tucker, only because I stay in the purity of focusing on myself. But you have to understand, how does it work in this whole geopolitical sphere? Here are devout Muslims on the radical side telling you, Tucker's the bomb. Tucker's the man. Tucker has power. Now, let's say you had somebody who was perceived as a conservative, and the Islamic world was making a play for the United States of America. Let's just play, our borders were open, Muslims are being flooded in, Muslims are mucking as much of the American system there is and trying to take as much money out to hurt America and bring it under Sharia law. Now, let me ask you a question. Is Islam, unlike any other client in the world? Here's what I mean. Islam as well uses ad agencies. If Islam wants to come into your neighborhood, they don't come in saying, give me your house, I'll cut your fucking head off. It's not how it works. They come in, we need help. Our country's so bad. We need safety. Help us. We have nothing. We came here with nothing. And they work their way in. Then when they have enough density, then they can flip the script. So all I want you to be aware of is the value of Tucker's 16 million followers. Okay? So now we're going to do a pop quiz. Hang on. Okay. How many views on a strong evening, right? On a strong evening of prime time. Prime time. And that prime time window is about a 5-hour window. Okay? How many strong primetime viewers would an average cable network get in prime time? Do you know that number? Average prime time per half hour. Do you know that number? Somebody says 2 million. Somebody says 10 million. Okay, you ready? MSNBC's primetime bona fide viewers per half hour during the primetime window is only 915,000 viewers. But you have to divide that by the primetime window, which is basically 10 half hours. It's about 45,000 people. Now, that's a network. Tucker's one man, 16 million people. One man, 16 million followers. Now you have a way to gauge power. Next. Is all that money being poured into TV and stuff? No. They're moving away from TV because you can't measure it. But you can measure it on social media. So things are moving away from social media. Now, let me ask you a question. Just because Tucker walked away from Fox, does it mean the advertisers, the people that wanted him to say things or wanted a piece of his hide, walked away from him? No. Actually, it's quite the opposite, because now he controls his own statements. He doesn't have standards and practice overlording him, which basically means he's a far more valuable commodity. Now you're beginning to get the picture of, okay, well, let's talk about dynamics. Let's talk about what up. So with that said, let's just look at a few things about Tucker. I showed you his background. Let's just look at a few things going around about Tucker, and we'll wrap this up.
If you think that murdering tens of thousands of children, which the Israeli government has done, is consistent with Christianity, we're reading a different manuscript. I just don't.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I'm just going to take that one there. If you think murdering tens and thousands of children are okay, which Israel has done, listen to the words.
If you think that murdering tens of thousands of children, which the Israeli government has done, is consistent with Christianity, we're reading a different manuscript. I just don't see that at all. What gets me going is watching Christian preachers who are paid by the government of Israel take free vacations to Israel, where they stock up on talking points and propaganda and then inflict all of that propaganda on their congregations and then use the Bible to justify it. You're justifying violence against innocents. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all these Christian pastors, these evangelical pastors come in and are like, if you criticize that, you are not a Christian and you hate Jesus and hate Jews. You know, there's a debate over what the term the Great Deception refers to, but it could be that, because that's so crazy to me.
So there's a piece from Tucker. Now let's fact check this. Again, I don't watch Tucker. I'm seeing these pieces for the first time. And the discussion we're having is talking about Tucker, Turncoat, Just Talk, or Traitor. Now you probably noticed something there. He talked about Israel murdering tons of babies. Okay? Let me ask you a question. Did Israel murder hundreds of thousands of babies? Put it in chat. Did Israel murder hundreds of thousands of babies? Simply, Gail says, yes, they did. Somebody says long ago. No, etc., etc. Okay. So, which is it? Can't be both. Which is it? Can't be both. Now, if you leave that statement there, Israel killed hundreds of thousands of children, and that's just not Christian. What are the facts regarding that story if you don't know the facts? One, what do you think the facts are? What do you think the facts are? Do you know? We're going to do this together. What do you think the facts are? So let's just start at its simplest. Has Israel caused the death of hundreds or thousands of children in the Gaza Strip? Have they? Has Israel caused the death of either hundreds or thousands of kids in Gaza? Now, the actual literal answer is yes. Don't run away. Pay attention. Pay attention. You've got to understand. Now, here's the next question. See, here's what I said. Let's listen to what Tucker said again real quick.
If you think that murdering tens of thousands of children, which the Israeli government has done, is consistent with Christianity, we're reading.
Okay. So Tucker has a belief system that he wants you to believe. This is his programming. He decided.
If you think that murdering tens of thousands of children, which the Israeli government has done, is consistent with.
So he's telling you that the Israeli government has murdered tens of thousands of children. So and what I said is, do you think Israel has brought about the death of children in Palestine, whatever you want to go, Gaza, etc.? Okay. And I told you the answer is yes. But what word did Tucker use? See, Tucker used murder. Murder. Now, just so you have the numbers, between February of 2005 to the end of 2004, how many children were killed in Gaza and the West Bank? Right? In Gaza and the West Bank. Do you know? And this is a lesson in words matter, because Tucker said Israel murders children. I want you to understand it in context of even the Muslim world says he reaches everybody in the Muslim world. He reaches the UK. He's big. He's got 16. That's why I'm teaching this. We got to just peel back the onion. The children killed in bombing in the West Bank between the start of 2005 and the end of 2024 was 2,304 children. 2,304 children. Now, the first question I ask you is 2,304 children, tens of thousands of children murdered.
If you think that murdering tens of thousands of children, which the Israeli government has done, is consistent with Christianity, we're reading a different manuscript.
You basically heard he said Israel is murdering children. You heard it, right? You heard it. Now, the children get mentioned basically because of bombing, right? And here's the really interesting twist. If you look at what Israel does, is Israel will in fact bomb Gaza. If you look at what Hamas does, is Hamas will take its fighters, its weapons cache, and everything, and they will intentionally store it in classrooms with young kids, mosque, hospitals, clinics, etc. So the first thing that Hamas does is the reason you see all those weapons in schools. Why does Hamas do it? Why does Hamas do it? They do it because when they finally push it far enough in Israel, in order to stop the death, bombs the hospital. Invariably, children will perish in that because they use the children as a shield. Now, let me go back. Does this statement apply?
If you think that murdering tens of thousands of children, which the Israeli government has done, is consistent with Christianity, we're reading a different manuscript.
Okay, so Hamas, you heard the Muslims saying Tucker's the bomb.
We've spoken about Tucker Carlson a lot in previous episodes, and
it's making some noise.
Yeah, you know what? I think he's an important person. We've got to follow him. Umar ibn Khattab. Now today, we know media is a powerful place, man. Right? If you win the media war, media.
Yeah.
Right? As in, if we took a victory from this, if there's anything for us to say we did this time with Allah's permission, Tawfiq, it's media.
Yeah.
I'm saying this guy is, in my opinion, the strongest guy in the media right now.
I mean, yeah, his millions of views. Anytime he posts anything, I always monitor. Like, it's just the views are crazy.
It's not just that. This guy has got very strong footing and following, and he's got voice
in the right wing
in the USA,
yeah,
in the UK, and the Middle East.
Okay, so Hamas, Hezbollah, all these guys, they intentionally store their weapons, their soldiers, in tunnels under hospitals and schools. Now, why do they do that? To use children as a human shield. Now, why do they do that? Because if Israel, Yasser Arafat's the one that engineered this, if Israel retaliates and really wants to eliminate the problem so it saves lives, there are going to be some children that end up either getting killed or getting hurt. Why? Because Hamas and them store them under the children. They force citizens with more children to hide more weapons in their homes. And then in the home with the kids will be a Hamas member. Even when Israel's going door to door looking for arms, Hamas will make the family stay there. And if the family tries to run away from the weapons and warn Israel, they'll kill the family. So they sit there. Invariably, Israel comes to the door. They'll find out. Now there's this jihadist there. The jihadists, where the weapons are, will open fire and invariably kids may be killed or will get hurt. Who murdered them? Who murdered them? See, that is all designed to make Israel look bad. Because see, then the story doesn't come, we're taking out a terrorist network. It comes, well, the Jews killed kids. That's all propaganda. Now, if you were to look at UNICEF and all of these extremely liberal organizations, they will try to tell you that over 11,000 children have been killed in Gaza in the last 12 months. What are the actual numbers? If I gave you those same years that I gave you, they claimed over 50,000 children were killed or injured. Well, see, I gave you the killed, 2,400. They give you the or injured. If everything's being blasted, there's going to be a lot of injuries. It doesn't mean you're catastrophically injured, but it does mean you're injured. Even after the ceasefire, when Israel had to go in and basically obliterate everything, how many kids were killed? $100. And all that obliteration, because Israel took great care to go down in the tunnels, ferret these things out, and make sure children were saved. But what becomes the story? See, this is where you have to now look at what Tucker said. Now I'm going to play it back to you, and I'm going to basically let you know this is 100% the sales message of Hamas. This is what Hamas wants the UK and America to believe. Let me play it again when you understand it through that filter.
If you think that murdering tens of thousands of children, which the Israeli government has done, is consistent with Christianity, we're reading a different manuscript. I just don't see that at all. What gets me going is watching Christian preachers who are paid by the government of Israel take free vacations to Israel, where they stock up on talking points and propaganda and then inflict all of that propaganda on their congregations and then use the Bible to justify it. You're justifying violence against innocents. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all these Christian pastors, these evangelical pastors come in and are like, if you criticize that, you're not a Christian and you hate Jesus and hate Jews. You know, there's a debate over what the term the Great Deception refers to, but it could be that, because that's so crazy to me.
Now look at the seed he planted in that. Israel murders tens of thousands of children. That is factually bullshit. If you excuse Hamas, if you excuse the terrorists, if you excuse them strapping it all to kids and making them stay there, then I got to basically tell you, your ethics are wonky. Because you have to excuse all of that to even get to the point that said they happen to have been killed. But to say they were murdered? Now, what did he really hook this to? The Great Deception. Now, his turn of the Great Deception, because the Great Deception's real, but he flipped it and made it about Israel and Christians. Who sells you that message that the Great Deception is Christians are the ones that are deceived? I want you to think about that. There's only one religion in the world that says you join or we will kill you. They call everything else the Great Deception. But when you read it this way and you hear it this way, coming from a voice like Tucker, I'm telling you right now, all of that's horseshit. To say that Israel brings over pastors to give them the messaging, they go back to America churches, horseshit. It's tourist money for churches trying to go back to the homeland and get their connection with God, Temple Mount, and our Judeo-Christian roots. Who wants to sever that? The Muslims. So what do they do here? Instead of talking about annual pilgrimages, which, by the way, the Catholic Church does as well, even far more than who are, hey, come over to Israel, far more go to Rome for Vatican. Do you follow what I'm saying? Tucker and that stuff is selling 100% a Muslim message. Now, the reason I played it that way is that came out from his network. Wasn't an interview. That was his network. Now, I think one of the people that spoke, right, probably the most sincere and was making the most different was probably Charlie Kirk. Can we agree? Right? Can we agree? Yes. I want to show you Tucker, now that Charlie's gone, actually undoing Charlie's work.
I've heard a little bit about the Groypers. Do you know some of the names of the influencers who are taking advantage of the conservative youth movement?
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, so thank you. So first of all, I do know the names. I'm not going to repeat them because that only makes them and their little irrelevant circle bigger.
Nick Fuentes, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I wanted to meet you.
He's got a really compelling message, which is like 90% true.
We want 1,000 Dietrich Bonhoeffers. I like the Bonhoeffer example because of the circumstances, the tyranny.
Yes.
But I also like the Bonhoeffer because I never want to make anyone feel as if I'm being anything but honest. It's going to cost us something. God forbid our life like that, but eventually we're all going to have to go to heaven. And so Bonhoeffer is the example of, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice everything I have for God's purpose on earth.
Because once you start calling people Nazis, we really have no choice but to start shooting them. To be Dietrich Bonhoeffer and sort of reach the end of reason or even Christianity. Bonhoeffer decided Christianity's not even, he was a Lutheran pastor. Christianity's not enough. We have to kill the guy. I'm not judging Bonhoeffer, who was a great man in some ways, but...
Why do we give $3.8 billion to Israel, especially when they deliberately attacked the USS Liberty in the 1970s?
That is incorrect. Do not peddle conspiracy theories in our event. That is not acceptable. Do not say that.
Well, we put up with the attack on the USS Liberty that everyone's so afraid to talk about, clearly targeted on purpose by a country we're supporting, Israel.
You get rid of Christianity, and then, even more dangerous, you go from secularism then to Islam. Because then you're like, well, we have to believe in something, and then you bring in a completely different ideology that's at odds with Western values.
He's like, you know what Islam means? Submission. And like, let it hang in the air. Like that was self-evidently disgusting. And I was like, I kind of think submission to God is like the whole point of life, but I didn't say anything. I was like, I don't think I'm against that, actually.
I cannot see a single Western country that has become more Islamic and has become a better place to live that is happier or freer.
By what metric? Just happiness, quality of life?
Everything from quality of life, from cultural cohesion.
Sharia law is bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard that. It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad.
A tragic truth of war is that civilians die. I don't like it, and you don't like it. And they brought it upon themselves. The only operation and entity to blame is the leadership of Hamas, not the Israeli government, for fighting this defensive war after they were invaded.
The essence of the Christian faith. And killing tens of thousands of children and then making excuses for it on behalf of a foreign government is not in there.
Why is it that they haven't built a new school or hospital in the last 5 years? Hundreds of millions of dollars pour into Gaza. It's because Hamas runs Gaza right now, and they're a terrorist organization.
Hamas is a group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists, which they also claim constantly. Which I don't know if that's true, by the way. It seems more like a political organization.
And it really goes down to the hatred of the Jews, and that's really where you need to meet people. Is at the basic. It's not anti-Zionism. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. It is anti-Semitism, because if it was Zionism and the Arabs were all of a sudden, in control, then people, that's fine, whatever. The Zionism is the idea that Jewish people should have a home. But if you hate Jews altogether, then of course you're going to hate the idea that they have a home.
An attack on Western civilization looks like this. It's tribalism, it's identity politics, it's DEI, it's whatever. It's Zionism.
What is the justification for simply Christian Zionism?
We as evangelicals, we believe that there's prophecy in the Bible, and there was a prophecy that Israel will be scattered and then brought back together. And so we look at this Israel right now, modern day Israel, as a fulfillment of that prophecy.
And then the Christian Zionists who are, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that? Right. And I could just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody. Because what? Because it's Christian heresy, and I'm offended by that as a Christian.
Unless you unpack these and look at them in context, which I do, I'm a teacher, not a broadcaster, to show you these, the subtleties of the words and the context get missed, like this Nick Fuentes, right? You are watching why I am banned. Because the truth is the truth is the truth is the truth. The system cannot afford people like me to reach more of you. Because it's all a game. Let's look at this kid, Nick Fuentes, who recently it's been proven he's an operative. He's been placed in there, given these big audiences, and he convinces the Jews are bad. It's the synagogue of Satan. It's all this other stuff. Look how many conservative broadcasters you've heard that repetition of the synagogue of Satan. people you follow that told you, "Wait, heard they said they were going to fix the election. They're going to take care of Trump." They've all gone down this path. They're all trying them out because they're searching for audiences, and they've told you about the synagogue of Satan, right? Well, this Candace doing it, and Tucker doing it, and other people doing it, and repeating this synagogue of Satan you've heard, like this Nick Fuentes. There's a 19-year-old boy right now, star athlete, Catholic school, by the way, star athlete, and he's probably going to go away for at minimum 20 years. And he basically said he got this idea from watching these very people I'm showing you, and he came to believe it was the synagogue of Satan. And he went down and burned one of the oldest standing synagogues in the United States of America. And now he's going to prison. And the way we learned he did it, he came home laughing and bragging about it, that he got him. He taught them to his dad. And when his dad found out what he did, his dad perp marched him to the police. And this kid's going to go away for 20 years, exclusively based on what he consumed, quote unquote, as a conservative kid on social media. Now, I've always told you, they go for the weakest. That's why they'll tell you, and they never get in trouble for it. Look how many people do. Get your guns. We're going to hang them. We got to get a militia and break Tina Peters out. It's all a con. Because they know a certain amount of people will be stupid enough to do it. And now what does the media have? White nationalists, racist, colonialists burn down a synagogue. See, we told you those white folks were bad. It's all a con. And people are getting paid to spread this shit. Check's big enough. They don't give a frick. And that's why I said all of these areas have moved into the financial zone. People don't think about this. How does somebody be a former FBI person all of a sudden pop up on YouTube with millions of followers out of nowhere, broadcasting out of a $2 million custom studio they've built on their land? Did they just decide to get into the business one day? All of this is a con. And they bank on you not paying enough attention to it. And everybody's all pissed off. Well, Tucker's changed and he's not a Republican. And well, folks, dumbass, he never told you he was a Republican. And so while you fight the little bullshit, you miss what the big messaging really is and what's really bad about this. You should be thinking about the fact that Tucker seems to be on a campaign right now to undo everything Charlie Kirk made movement on. Because he and Candace and those people are pissing all over that, destroying it. They need it eradicated with a new message. This goes deep. Here's another person's view of this going on.
Turning Point asked its attendees at AmFest whether their top concern for the country was what their top concern for the country is, and the top answer was radical Islam. So Tucker was asked about this in this interview, and he said that this idea, being fearful of radical Islam and this big top concern about it. He says it comes from the Israeli government. I don't know anyone in the United States in the last 24 years who has been killed by radical Islam. I know people who have died because of drug ODs, and then he goes on to list some other things like DEI that are affecting the country. Okay, here's my response to this. First, that's a false choice right there. That's a logical fallacy because we don't have to choose. He's presenting a choice like we have to choose between caring about radical Islam and caring about ODs from fentanyl and DEI. I care about both of those things a lot because I care about people. I care about vulnerable people. So I care about both of those injustices. We can care about both and we should. So I'm not sure why it's presented as like a necessary choice. It's not. That's a false binary. Second, if I found out that Islam, that radical Islam was just a psychological operation by the Israeli government, I would be thrilled. Like if you told me that Nigerian Christians and Ugandan Christians aren't really being kidnapped and murdered by Islamic terrorists, that Germany is actually able to celebrate Christmas publicly in safety, that France doesn't actually have to put up blockades for public events because of Muslims ramming vans into crowds, that the Middle East is actually a safe place to travel as a Christian woman, and that England hasn't been infested with Islamic child rape gangs, that 2 U.S. service members weren't just murdered in D.C. in November by a man screaming Allahu Akbar, that TSA isn't really necessary because Al-Qaeda crashed planes into the Pentagon and the Twin Towers, that none of that is real, and that I can just rest easy knowing that it's all just an Israeli op. Wow, that would be great news. But it's not true. No, the real psychological operation, the real psyop, is always don't believe your eyes and ears. Don't notice. Focus on this secret thing over here that only I can really see and show you. It's like when the government a couple of years ago tried to tell us that the number one source of terrorism is from right-wing white supremacists, and we're all like, what? Wouldn't I have heard about this? Like, wouldn't Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid be telling me these stories if this was something that was really happening? But the government was like, don't believe your eyes and ears. Don't believe what you see. It's really the secret group over here that we have secret intelligence about. It's like some kind of form of sophisticated Gnosticism. Tucker, like I said, like I think that he has been so right and first and right on so many things over the years, and I've really respected that. I just believe he's so wrong on this.
See, and this is where we are. Now, I watched the chat, right? I watched the chat. That was from the Blaze. And I watched the chat rolling by, and a lot of people will go, well, isn't Israel different than Jews and Jews different than Israel and whatever the case may be? Let me ask you a question. What is the global estimate of the global gross domestic product? In other words, annually, how much domestic sales product or whatever the case may be is generated on a global basis? Do you know that number? Put it in chat. What's the dollars? What's the dollars? Okay. What's the dollars? Well, I'll give it to you. Okay. The global GDP is $123.5 trillion annually. 123.58 trillion dollars. Okay? Now, what is the GDP of the entire country and state, same, of Israel? What is Israel's GDP? If the world's is 123.58 trillion with a T, what is the global domestic product of Israel? $610 billion. with a B. $610 billion. So we're going to do some simple math, shall we? See if my calculator can do this. How many zeros in trillion? 1, 2, 3, right? Yeah, excuse me, Israel's 540 billion. Okay, so 10% of 123 trillion would be 12.3 trillion. 1%, right, would be 1.2 trillion. 1% would be 1.2 trillion. Israel's a third of that. So a third of one singular percent. A third of one singular percent of the entire freaking world. Right? They try to convince you the Jews run the world. But because nobody ever does the math, they're trying to tell you that 1/3 of one singular percent of the total output for the whole freaking globe controls the other 99.23% of everything. You'd be right, yeah, 99.23%. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. The goal is to convince you that this little bitty speck on the map that generates 1/3 of one singular point of everything are actually the ones that control 99.66% of everything that goes on. Now, let me ask you a question. Does that sound conceivable to you? And I know, don't get into the Kazazis and Jews, the Gotchanika Jews, the Kanuka Jews, the Judikazus, the Rikazis Jews. Stop that shit. It's a way to keep you away from the facts when you change the subject. It's exactly the way to keep you away from the facts. It's a bullshit rabbit trail. Doing in my chat, which, by the way, stop. So let's kind of look at this differently. Basically, I want to tell you, here's what I'm going to do, and this is going to be my new fucking mantra. Did you know that all of Newark, New Jersey metropolitan area, did you know that all of the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area is totally controlled by St. George, Utah? They're going to fucking make everybody Mormons. They decide what's on TV. They decide what you eat. They decide those little funky undergarments you got to wear. It's all over because St. George, Utah controls everything. Everything in New York, New Jersey. Everything. They control everything and decide what happens. There's your relative scale. So if, by the way, I totally welcome St. George, Utah taking over fucking New York metro area and straighten it out. But anyway, if the numbers don't match, if you can't bite off on the plain reality, they're trying to convince you 1/3 of 1% I mean, it's 100 grains of rice. You take the last grain of rice, you cut that sucker into 3 pieces, and you put that one little speck over here and says it controls everything else. If you can't bite off on that, which is just idiocy, stupid, then what's the real goal? I'm going to tell you what the real goal is, because you're missing it. You have to understand, when Muhammad came down, quote unquote, and said, I had this in my head, couldn't read, couldn't write. When he came down, we'll call it from the mountains, it wasn't that God gave me this message. That's not what Muhammad came down with. Muhammad came down from a mountain saying, an angel gave me this text, made me remember it. I knew nothing of it, but an angel came to me, a demon, by the way. He thought it was a jinn, which was a demon, a jinn, demon, put this in my head. He came back down. He shared it with, I'll probably get this wrong, the mullah, and they wrote it all down. Right? It's not actually Gabriel. That's a mistransliteration. But anyway. But a demon, he was so terrified. It was so evil, so horrible. He was terrified of it. But it stuck this blueprint in his head. Went down, decided it was translated, got it translated, and said, this is it. And said, on pain of death, you accept this or you die. And one of the first things that happened is he went over to rabbis and said, Christ is no more, Jesus is no more, and by the way, God is no more. 700 years later, here it is. I'm paraphrasing. Here it is. This is the new gospel. This is the way it's going to be. And this is how you must worship. And if you do not worship, we are to kill you. That is the bottom line fact of the whole fucking matter. That's it. The bottom line fact. There is Islam. Bang. You believe it or you die. Wear the mask or you die. Take the shot or you're going to kill everybody. All threats, all violence, sold to you as the total opposite, religion of peace. All ancient scriptures where people haven't been killed will tell you Muhammad encountered a demon. And that demon's goal was, clearly stated, you will make them turn away from the one true God, because that's crap and this is the real story, and you've got to deliver the real story. If you do your own research, you can find it yourself. Now, I got a question to ask you. If that part is correct, and it's about the great deception, you can have sex with children, you can screw little boys because it's not considered being either a pedophile or homophobia or homo, because it's a child and you can use a child that way. You can take slaves, women, you don't have to teach. You can control them, you can beat them, and you can kill the infidel and take what's theirs. What kind of religion is that? It's certainly not the 10 Commandments, is it? If you just want to think of it that way. But upon later it came, you accept this, you'll die. And it has 100% been based on that forever. And you convert. And by the way, if you say something about them, they kill you, the Ishmael Fatwa, they're going to kill you. Now, I just want you to think about that for a minute. I can come into your home. I now own everything you have. It is okay for me to fuck your daughters and wives and children and your children. I can do it. And by the way, I can diddle your sons, and that's not gay, so don't you call me gay or cut your fucking head off. And you will worship this way, and you're now perpetually a slave to me. And you will ask no questions. You will no longer go to school. You will no longer be able to read anything that we don't approve. I just want you to think about that for a moment. Now, what does that require if it's really a battle over mankind? And that's what? You better fucking walk away from this bullshit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the one true God that came first and gave you the 10 commandments, you better fucking walk away from that or we're going to kill you. What you are watching is the modern iteration of an ancient weapon being deployed in these times when people's minds are weak. And it's gaining so much momentum, they are importing them to your neighborhoods, outlawing you talking to Jesus or praying in front of abortion clinics while they build mosques and write their laws for you. You work, but they're going to use your money to survive and have more kids, which you can't. Let me ask you a question. How is that not an apocalyptic fucking movie playing out in front of you? But see, when you divide it with all these labels, well, gay and this and trans and this and that and red shoes and red shoes and 7 rays of light, you fucking miss the war that's going on right under your nose. And it's only when you can step back and try to understand it's all about money, and they'll get there one way or another, then you finally see it. And in this total con, they will take good, innocent people and make them do stupid ass things. That's the war. It is a war for our soul. It is a war of angel and demons. All of this stuff. This is the single largest war that has ever happened in mankind's history. And you know why it's so violent and bad? Because God promised he wouldn't fucking obliterate us with a flood again. And so now here we are. We got to fucking duke it out. But inherently, we're too damn lazy. Inherently, we can't even see for what is happening. How do you stop it? You stop it by feeding your brain first and understanding what are you really seeing. This is why I phase it. Let's just use Tucker. I only use it as a talking point. Is he a turncoat? Is it just talk? Is it Traitor? I'm telling you, it's fucking money. Okay, that's what he's used to. That's what he comes from. Big fucking money. So what is he going to chase? Big fucking money. But what's it really about? Conquering us. All of this racket is to keep people away from the truth. Period. All of this stuff's going on is bullshit, horseshit. Epstein doesn't fucking move the needle. Either you understand that Satan and demons are on your doorstep, and you better get real about this. The weapon is truth, knowledge, and transparency. To be able to have courage enough to understand it, historically, understand what's going on, but to call it out. Teach, teach, teach. Jesus didn't conquer by running soldiers. He conquered by teaching the truth. And that's the one weapon those angels and demons can't stand up against. So they bend the truth to turn people into weapons. And that's it. Truth and transparency, folks. And accepting that the fact you play a part in this. I love you all. Please share this program. And folks, this is a war. And damn it, we need your help with these archives. Love you.
Our courts are based on clear and convincing evidence. Want convictions? Want justice? For what happened in the 2020 election? Then we need your help. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The decision you make in the next few moments could decide whether we ever get our elections fixed or not. Here's why. Trump campaign and allies filed 64 different lawsuits. They all went down in flames. 100% of these cases were presented on "It's the machines," or "The machines changed the votes," or "The voting company executive said he would make sure Donald J. Trump would not win." They all went down in flames. Why? You can't bring theories to court as evidence. No supposed Zoom call or six-degree polynomial math theory or census data is or ever will be proof of fraud. You can't bring theories to court as evidence. Here's why. In both civil and criminal law, the side making a claim carries the burden of proof, and prosecutors must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Without physical or otherwise verifiable evidence, a case cannot meet this high threshold. Physical evidence is the key. The question is, did anyone get relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election? And the answer is yes, absolutely. The full forensic audit of Maricopa County, Arizona is the only evidence-gathering work which gathered relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election. Evidence so damning that the system, the deep state, and those who pull the strings of this country have fought to keep it hidden and have hoped to have it be forgotten to time. Almost $3 million invested in time, funds, and efforts to unlock that which the system wanted hidden. But now, that evidence is in danger of being lost forever. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. With the 2026 midterms coming up, the system is going to try to lame duck President Trump and then most likely introduce new impeachment proceedings. This is the evidence which will help win the war which is surely to come. We need to keep Maricopa County full forensic investigation and archives secure and ongoing. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We need your help securing the full forensic audit archives. Don't allow the only testable, objective, and reliable 2020 election evidence fall into obscurity. Millions were spent on getting it documented and tested. This is historic evidence. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County full forensic audit archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. Please donate now.